There's three different ways that you overcompromise yourself as a man. And every time you do and you break character, your self-talk weakens, your confidence level goes down slightly, the potential for who you could become as an individual gets reduced. And I've overcompromised myself massively in my 20s. All right, I've made a lot of these mistakes with friends, with women, girls I was seeing, with family, with loved ones. I've made all the mistakes, and I just want to point out for you guys the different ways that I see men over compromising themselves to bring awareness to you and your own journey. That way you can fast track your results in this. Because every time you have one of these setbacks, bro, it's devastating. Honestly, it's detrimental to your success, right? So the first way that I've really made a mistake with this, especially in my 20s, was in my self-development journey. Because I was always good at going to the gym. I could consistently go to the gym, but I never was really hitting PRs in the gym. I was never super dialed with my physique. Like, I never had the six pack I always wanted. And I was never really, really confident with all of that stuff. I would consistently break my diet multiple times a week. I would give in to smoking weed, even though I wanted to stop throughout the week. I would end up getting drunk with my friends just because I couldn't say no to the peer pressure. Or if I met a girl and I started seeing her, we would end up hanging out for a couple of days. My whole diet would go to shit. Everything would go to shit because of friends or women that I was seeing. I just didn't have the discipline, right? And so I see this with a lot of dudes. They're dialed in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But then when the weekend comes around and you know that you have a goal, you know you want to stick to that goal. You know you're on your fat loss journey. You know you're on your sobriety journey. You know you have these goals, but then you get faced with these temptations and you break character. You compromise your goal as a means of trying to appease somebody else. Like I've talked to countless dudes who go out over the weekend, and it's not even that they wanted to drink. They didn't even want to eat the meal. It's just they were out with their friends or they were out with that girl, and they couldn't, I guess, disappoint the other person. They were afraid that they were going to disappoint the other person. And so you sacrifice your own self-development journey out of fear of potential disappointment. Fear of, like, it's not even that you actually would disappoint these people. You got to switch your mindset around on this thing, man. If you go out with a girl and you don't end up drinking, or you're out with your boys and you order a fucking salad or a chicken breast, or you don't order any food at all, or you don't have any drinks when they're taking the rounds of the cheers and you're the guy on the side with the water, nobody really gives a fuck. You think that you do. You think that they will care and they will judge you and that it will be this big crazy thing for the next day or the next week. Anytime I talk to a dude afterwards, after it's happened, I ask him the same question. I say, dude, if we were to look back in that moment and you would have just said no and you would have sat on the sideline for that one thing, do you really think anybody would look at you any differently right now? Of course they wouldn't. They wouldn't even give a fuck. Everybody is just so about themselves. They just want you to join in so they make themselves feel better about the whole thing. That's all it is, okay? So when it comes to your diet, you're hitting the gym, your wake up, your workout, your sobriety, man. The sobriety of, and you could still go out and do these things, guys. I'm not saying to not do these things, but just understand, like, I've overcompromised myself massively, and it always led to setback after setback after setback. And it's very hard to make progress when you're going 3 days on, 4 days on, and then 2 days massive setback. All right. This adds into the second point and the third points in this video too. So I don't want to take too much time up on this, but just think about your own life and where you're going wrong when it comes to your diet, your fitness, your partying, your sobriety, your drug consumption, all of these things. The second piece that I wanted to talk about, and it does tie into these, but it's not as much about consumption, right? Like, the first point is more about consumption, in my opinion. The second one is more about time, okay? Now, I'm not saying that you can't go out and party. You can't go out to eat. You can do these things. You can even stay out late. But the second way that I've massively overcompromised myself during my journey throughout my 20s and early 30s is the amount of time that I've compromised. The amount of time that I've allowed myself to spend doing things that weren't aligned with my goals. And you can do everything I'm talking about in this video. You can do these things. They need to be done in moderation though, dude. That's the problem. You can stay out late. You could go out. You could party. You could have the fucking pizza if you want to. Honestly, you can. It's not a big deal, but the amount of time that you're doing these things, the percentage of the time that you're doing these things. That's the problem, is that we get lost in this shit, right? I would stay out with my friends till 4 a.m. all the time, maybe sometimes 6 a.m., sometimes 8 a.m. Crazy. I'm hanging out with a girl, the date started, the date had already gone successfully, right? You don't need to keep going and just ruin the next day. Same thing with the alcohol, man. You're out with the girl, it's going well. Just because it's going well doesn't mean you need to keep drinking and keep drinking and keep drinking, right? I think one of the biggest parts is that if there's nothing really significant going on, just go to sleep. Seriously, just go to sleep. Not giving so much time to the people that are, I don't want to say insignificant, but the amount of time that you give certain people in your life, you would assume that these are extremely important people that are extremely aligned with your goals, but they're not. No offense to you and your friends, but most of the people that you hang around with and you just shoot the shit with and you go out with on the weekends, dude, they're not really aligned with your goals. And it's okay to spend time with these people. I think it's actually important to, in terms of keeping your sanity, connecting with other people, just having fun and unwinding and detaching from everything else that you have going on in your week. It's important. But the problem where you go wrong with all of it is you spend way too much time that's disproportionate to the amount of time you should actually be putting in towards your goals. I used to stay out super late. I would stay up with women till 8 a.m. Just crazy. I would stay out with my boys till 8 a.m. We would go out, night would be over, and then we would just shoot the shit for an additional 4 hours, which most of you dudes might not be doing it that crazy. I was just a binger though. Like, I binged. Some of you guys might only be doing it for an hour or two a day, which honestly still adds up. If you think about it, the amount of time that you're doing, some of you dudes is more on like social media, doom scrolling, spending time on YouTube at the end of the night. You spend too much time on the things that aren't aligned with your goals. You overcompromise your goal due to the amount of time you're spending on other shit, right? So when you start to get your diet, your fitness, your sobriety dialed in, and you start to realize how much time that you've been spending on things that are unproductive, that ties into the third point, which is the people that you have in your life, but more importantly, the standard for what's acceptable for the things in your life. That's really what it is. You see, most of the things that I've been talking about so far in this video, they're not aligned with, you do these things that aren't aligned with your goals. But once you actually stop drinking so much, stop smoking so much, stop eating out unhealthy foods so much that go against your diet, start going to the gym more frequently, start saying no to the temptations, start being a little bit more aware of how much time you're spending in these different activities and minimizing them, right? To put them into a healthy balance, like hanging out with your friends, but not hanging out for more than 2, 3, no more than 4 hours. Like, that's plenty of time to hang out with. Now look, every once in a while you got a special event, you want to push it further, cool. I'm not saying to not do that. You can have the bad foods occasionally. You could spend more time occasionally when it's earned. But once you start to dial those things in, you'll start to realize that the people that you have in your life and the people that are around you, they're doing things that aren't really up to your standard. And by default, there's going to start to be a little bit of separation. They'll either be inspired by you and want to join you on the journey, or they're going to be stubborn in their own way, which is totally fine. Everybody's moving at their own timeline, in which case there'll start to be a little bit of separation. And what you also may find is that as you keep going down this path, you'll start to attract and connect with other like-minded individuals that are also doing the same things. The same way that you were in these bad habits and you attracted people that were in the bad habits, as you start to progress in a certain direction, they'll either come with you or they get a little bit distant, which is still okay. You guys can still be friends. You'll still see each other. It's not the end of the world. But what's even better is you start to hang out with other people that are more like-minded, that are more aligned with the goals that you have because of the standard that you're setting for what's acceptable in your life. You'll stop hanging around women that aren't really aligned. You'll start to see the women that have the bad habits and the bad behaviors, and you're not as attracted or turned on to them as maybe you once were because you were so blinded by being drunk and chasing lust, or getting high and chasing desire, right? Same thing with your friends. You start to separate yourself. You start to realize I wasn't actually that close with them. We don't even really connect on that much shit. We just both enjoyed getting drunk or high and talking negatively about other people. That's what most people do. Just get drunk or high and they talk shit on the rest of the people around them, right? And then so as you go further and further down this path, and by the way, I'm not claiming to be better than any of these people. I'm not saying I'm better. I'm just here to talk about my experience, and I try to help as many people as possible. That's what it is, from my lessons learned, because like I took a really long time to understand these concepts, man. Like I said, I'm almost 35. It took me a very long, it's almost embarrassing how long it took me, right? 17 years of smoking weed, almost 20 years, like 18 years of drinking and partying, like crazy amounts of time wasted, right? So once you start to understand these things more, you start to prioritize your own self-development journey more. Your self-talk will go up, because you're actually going after your goals. You're doing the things that you know you always wanted to do. You're not getting drunk or high anymore, so you have a better diet, so you make smarter decisions, so you're not as unproductive and lazy and lacking the mental clarity that all those vices were giving you. And then you stop hanging around the people that were so negative. Like then if you start going back and you hang around those people again, you'll start to realize that you don't really resonate with a lot of it anymore. And there's nothing wrong with those people. I don't want you to talk down on those people. I want you to just lead by example, right? If I see somebody in the back of my mind, I'm like, damn, their habits aren't that good, or this isn't that good, I'm not going to call them out and be like, bro, this is a problem, this is a problem. I just lead my own life. I live my own life and lead by example. And the people that are drawn to it, that get attracted to it, that I could see it's positively impacting them, great. I want to help influence them even more. It feels good when you're around other people that are vibing really high. It's a great feeling to be around those people. That's why you'll be drawn to more and more people that are around the same standard as you. All right, so pay attention to your own life right now. If you were to just analyze your week, what are the ways that you're compromising your goals? You should have very clear-cut goals for today and for the week. And every time that you don't hit one of your goals, that should become a regret. And then you want to analyze the regret, though. You want to sit down and bask in the regret, but analyze, why did this go wrong? What temptations were I felt with? Who were the people around me? What were the thoughts that I started to have that created a thought loop that put me into a negative spiral? What were the decisions that I made? Analyze and reflect on these things so you can actually be better next time. It's not that we're going to be perfect. I will make mistakes. You will make mistakes. We will still continue at some point, most likely, to compromise one of our goals. It doesn't happen anywhere near as often as it once did. And now when it does happen, I reflect on it, I analyze, and I learn from it, and I make the necessary adjustments so it doesn't happen again. All right. And when there's people or things in my life that aren't really aligned with my goals, you need to be aware of how much time you're spending on those things. How much are those things making you compromise really what you wanted to go after for the day? And what's the standard that you have for your own life and the people that you have in your life? You may need to distance yourself from some of these people, at least momentarily, and that's okay. You could still be friends with these people, but you may need to create some distance. Point number 2, the amount of time you're spending with these people. Point number 3, the standard for what's acceptable in your life. All of these concepts come together so you could really have some structure, ultimately get the clarity that you need to come up with a game plan to put you down the self-development journey that you need to hit your goals and become the highest individual possible, man. If you want to fast track that process, if you want to work with me directly to get that structure, that guidance, that accountability, surround yourself with like-minded individuals, get that motivation on a daily basis to break through the ceilings that you have right now, right? Like, you are a result of the people around you and the content you consume. And if you want different people in your life and different content and more structure, and you want to work with me to get that, click the button down below. Check out the brand new coaching programs I got going on, guys. That's all for today, fellas. It's 7 in the morning. Sun's coming up right now. Couldn't even put the camera over here. Sun's coming up. It's a beautiful day to go after your goals. It's Monday morning. It's a new day. It's a new week, a new opportunity to go after the things you truly desire in life. Let's turn up, fellas. Happy Monday. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out.